Good morning and welcome. My name's Angela Davis and I'm the 4am Quilter, and I have not sat and had coffee with you in quite a while. And I thought, you know what, we're overdue. We're overdue. So I have the fireplace on my YouTube because that's what I do when I relax in the morning. I also follow other YouTubers. I like Kate Jackson from The Last Homely House. I like Shannon Makes, or is it Shannon Creates? She does a lot of, she'll do like costuming. I just watched a video where she replicated a robe from a movie. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. She does a lot of upcycling. She actually does a lot of dumpster diving as well to find fabric and different items that she can repurpose or reuse in her home and so on and so forth. I also watch My Sewing Room. I love her style. I love the patterns that she chooses. She has a wonderful calming voice. And she's lovely to watch. So those are just a few of some of the YouTubers that I follow. But I wanted to, I'm having my coffee. But I wanted to touch base. And do you know what that means? To touch, look at my hair. Touch base means get together, reach out, give you an update on life. When friends say they want to touch base, you know, that usually means let's meet for coffee, your house, my house, let's go out, haven't seen each other in a while, let's get caught up, that sort of thing. So that's what touch base means, if you're not familiar with the term. I don't know the origins of it. I should look that up. But I digress. I wanted to welcome the new subscribers. Over the last few weeks, my numbers have gone up. Thank you very much. I must have made some type of a connection where there wasn't one before. And so I must have created something that piqued somebody's interest out there. So I wanted to thank you for giving me the thumbs up and subscribing. I appreciate that so much. I am almost at 1,000 subscribers and I almost have my 4,000 hours in. So it's been 1 year since I posted my first YouTube channel. If I've calculated it correctly, because when I started my channel, I called myself Quilting in the Basement. So I'm roughly gauging it on when I put out my first video as Quilting in the Basement. I think it was March of last year. So that, okay, it's March of 2024. So this would have been March of 2023. I think it was right around February, March. So it's been 1 year. So I'm very excited about that. I started out not knowing what to expect. I didn't know what to expect for myself. I didn't know what to expect for my viewers. When you're trying a new venture, the only way to move forward is to try something new, and that means making yourself uncomfortable. Because trying something new is scary. And failing is scary. And some of my videos, I may only get 25 views. I don't consider that a failure. I consider that a learning opportunity. So I try to go back and review my videos to see where the disconnect was. Sometimes I don't know, you know, sometimes it could be just the pattern I chose. Maybe it was the way I presented the video. You know, this is all learning process. So every time I put out a video, it's learning and falling down and getting back up again. Sort of like making a quilt. You know, you start working on a block and oops, this corner doesn't look right, or this seam isn't right, rip it out, start all over again. Same thing with making a video. So, but I wanted to have my coffee with you and say thank you. And I haven't done this in a while, so I wanted to talk about, you know, my 1-year anniversary. Talk about sort of what I'm working on right now. I am continuing to learn my new Bernina. Still only focusing on basic stitches. I did, however, get out my walking foot because I want to start quilting the Trip Around the World quilt. And for those of you who don't know, who have a walking foot, who do a lot of your own quilting, I'm going to give you some information based on what I've learned over the last 3 weeks. I got out my walking foot 3 weeks ago thinking, okay, you know, I want to start quilting this quilt. And there's an arm on your walking foot that attaches to the presser foot, and it goes up and down. Rather, it attaches to the needle bar, and when the needle goes up and down, it goes up and down. Well, that arm was stiff, really stiff, and I'm trying to move it, and I'm like, geez, this is really stiff, you know. And then it got to the point where I couldn't move it at all, and I thought, oh boy. So I Googled, you know, troubleshooting. Now, I've had my walking foot as long as I've had my first Bernina, and I bought my first Bernina in 2000, so 24 years. I've never oiled it. I didn't know you had to oil it. Well, guess what? You do. And here's me. Why isn't this little arm moving up and down? And I didn't want to force anything because I knew when I felt it getting really stiff and then the point where it wouldn't move at all, I'm like, oh, I'm not touching it. So I Googled it and I came across the videos by Bernina Jeff. I think that's his name, Bernina Jeff. But anyway, he has a wonderful video on how to take apart your Bernina walking foot and oil it. And guess what? That arm has a pin in it that's supposed to be cleaned and oiled. And if over time, 24 years, it stops moving, if you try to force that arm off, the pin will completely break off. I couldn't even move the arm, let alone try to get it undone. It was so stuck. So I basically had to oil it and let it sit. I did this all on a paper plate, like a thick paper plate. And this way everything stayed on the paper plate. And I got to the point where in the afternoon last Saturday, I oiled it and I just let it sit for 24 hours. And then when I went back to it, I oiled it again, wiped it down, moved the arm back and forth. And then I took the edge of a flathead screwdriver and I sort of wedged it looser so that I could pop it off without breaking off that pin. I had to really work hard. And that oil sat for 24 hours before I could get that arm off. And it wasn't coming off easily. I mean, I didn't know you had to oil your walking foot. So this is just a little bit of information for you. Don't wait 24 years before going, gee, maybe my walking foot needs dusted and oiled. They don't tell you that on the package when you buy it. So, word to the wise, if you have a walking foot and you do your own quilting, Bernina Jeff says you should take it apart and dust and oil it about every 1.5 to 2 years. But anyway, Bernina Jeff, he's wonderful. So that was one thing that I had to do. So that's why this weekend, I'll start this afternoon, machine quilting the Trip Around the World quilt. I have been commissioned by a coworker to make a baby quilt for her niece who's expecting, and just found out they're having a little boy. So I was showing her patterns over the last few weeks, and she finally picked a pattern. And I brought in some samples of some fabrics that I have so that she can select certain colors that she liked. So I'll be starting on that over the next couple of weeks. Interestingly enough, within a couple weeks after doing the video on baby quilts and lap quilts and wheelchair quilts, my mother was saying how when she went to go visit my Aunt Phil, who's in a nursing home, her legs get cold. She is in a wheelchair. And that's from lack of movement, lack of circulation, so on and so forth. And the Afghan she had wasn't quite enough to keep her warm. So my mother's asked me to make her a quilt. So I've been using the last few weeks to pick out colors. And I finally picked some colors that are very bright, very colorful, flowers. I think she'll like it. And I also went to the store to buy flannel for the back because I feel as though with the lack of circulation in the legs, the flannel will be soft and give her that extra layer of warmth. And I found a real pretty blue with a nice simple flower through it for the backing. So I'll be starting on that as well. I won't be showing you those videos until after I've given them to the recipient, because I feel as though they should be the ones to see the end product first. So I will be filming them in the process of creating them, but I won't be posting them until after the recipient receives them. So that's on the horizon. I'm still working on my curtains for my sewing room. I'm still working on scrap busting my bin. And I have to tell you, I'm getting bored with looking at those fabrics. I really am. I'm like, boy, I'm tired of, I'm getting bored of looking at those fabrics. And I need to switch gears somewhere, but I know I need to work down that bin. I'm gonna have to sort of work that in between working on other projects. I've been following a lot of videos on Kawandi quilts. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. They come out of a small community in India, and if you look it up, you will see it. I've also been doing research on watching videos on Boro quilting, very similar in design and technique, just gorgeous. Very much reminds me of the quilts coming out of Gee's Bend in Alabama. Is it Alabama or Mississippi? But if you watch the videos on those type of quilt making, wow, beautiful. I love the color combinations, the impromptu design as you go, which is how I like to do. But their end result is nothing like my end result. Their end results of their quilts are absolutely breathtaking. And so that's been inspiring me. Been to the thrift store over the last 2 months, and I've acquired little bits of fabric here and there. A couple sheets. One of them is a bubblegum pink sheet, probably about a twin size. The other one looks to be about a full or a queen size orange sheet. And the cuff along the top is green, like grass green, and then there's a narrow ribbon underneath that's yellow. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun taking off that green strip and that yellow strip, because that was sort of like the added little icing on the cake, you know? I love it, absolutely love it. So I think this one was $1.99 at that particular thrift store. I think this one was Goodwill, and this one was Salvation Army, $1. So I think I lucked out. I really do. I really do. Over the last few weeks. I also got, I want to show you since I have the camera on, I got this. This was at the thrift store, a piece of fabric. This was almost 2 yards. This was like 1 yard minus an inch or two. And I think I got that for $1.99. I love this brown tones with the black. I've been saving brown tones. And this is a white on white print. Can you see it now? It's gardening. So there's a wheelbarrow, a potted plant. I think there's a bird and a bird's house. There's an old-fashioned watering can. There's plant snips. There's a shovel, gardening shoes that look like clogs, gardening shoes. There are shovels, the snips, just really, really sweet. So I'm gonna put those in my stash. I'm kind of curious to see what I do with those in the future. It is not 4:30 in the morning. Sunlight coming through the window. It is Sunday, and I slept in. I don't sleep in, even on the weekends, but these last couple weekends, I've been sleeping in. You know, sometimes you just have to listen to your body. But I wanted to touch base. So, you know, last weekend got no sewing done because I was just concentrating on working on my walking foot. It's working beautifully now. I have it on my machine, ready to go. You know, I'm going to be quilting later on today. You know, I'm just going to continue to go work through my scraps that I'm so bored out of my mind with now because I've been looking at a lot of the same strips over and over again. But you know, that's the way it is. And I'm gonna start on those 2 new projects, and like I said, I'm gonna be filming them, but I won't be posting them until after I give them to the recipients, because obviously they should be the first ones to see them. So I wanted to give you guys an update. I wanted to sit and have my coffee with you and say welcome and thank you for a lovely year and a lot of learning, a lot of sharing, a lot of back and forth. I try to read all your comments and respond to all the comments, and I appreciate you so much. And I just wanted to put that out there. So here's a little hug from me. I'm Angela Davis, and I'm the 4am Quilter. Have a great week.